Greetings, gamers! Welcome to part number 4 of my playthrough of Pokemon Colosseum, all Shadow Pokemon. And it is time to visit this very interestingly insigniaed building. The name's Duking. I run the Colosseum here. If you want to enter a battle, go see the Colosseum's receptionist. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm busy.
I'm the lookout. Nobody is supposed to get by me. There's nothing special behind this bookshelf.
Oh, there definitely is. Yes, I'm going to press this button. I love this. Absolutely wish more representation of this was like in Pokemon.
That's why, Marcia, we've got to somehow snag them from those criminals. Wah! You startled me. How did you get in here? That's weird. My little brother is supposed to be on lookout. My sister hasn't done anything but chatter. I'm so bored. I want to play house. Are you Papa's friends? I'm Marcia. I'm pleased to meet you. But sorry, we're busy. We're talking about something that's quite important. Please come visit and play with us another time.
Sure, I'll come visit again. Very interesting. Duking, how much more are you going to take from Mirabee and his stooges? They're using you in the Colosseum. What is the matter with you? Have they sucked the spirit right out of you? Tch, so you just clam up. I've lost faith in you. Interesting.
The man that went out is Silva. He's Duking's friend. But he was really angry. His face looked all scary.
Sorry, but I'm busy. You'll have to excuse me. All right, Duking, you seem like a very useless so-called leader. Isn't that par for the course nowadays? Greetings. Welcome to the Pyrite Super Grand Hotel. Stay in one of our ultra-gorgeous suites, and you'll be refreshed like you're brand new. Your Pokemon, too. It's a mere 100 a night. Will you stay with us? Not right yet, but let me tell you, this is exactly how I'm going to be healing up until I reach a heal center. Strongly recommend using this. 100 Pokédollars. Some people look at this and go, why would I do this when I can just heal up at the heal center? The heal center is more than twice the distance away from the next several battles. So why not just use this? Pwah! Boy, that was a good sleep. I must have slept through all of last week. I was totally exhausted from the tower construction job. Apparently some fabulously rich guy had the tower built. It's amazing stuff. See, this is how you can tell this was written 20 years ago. A little bit more than 20 years ago.
It wasn't that long ago when Duking was the man in Pyrite. But now, that right out there weird Mirabee and his stooges ride hard over the town. I wonder what's so special about that guy, Mirabee.
Yeah, okay, tackle now. No, don't get confused. Alright, the Grand Hotel. I will be using you very shortly.
Oh, look at what we have here. You're quite the hottie. Why don't you lose that wallflower with you and be my sweetie? Wait a second. Who are you to call me a wallflower? What about me makes me a wallflower? Look at her. She's all serious. Uncool. I'm only teasing out of boredom. A guy like him, he's not to my taste. That's it. I'm furious now. Gamer man, be a man. Stomp her down. Stomp? Who, me? That's a laugh. Come on, then. I'll go easy on you.
Wow, stomp her down. Stomp her down. Different times. Different times. That's all I got to say there. Gulpin and Zubat from Chaser Emok. You know, you basically have... I have the bane of your Pokemon's existence in a very extremely powerful Psychic type with 130 base special attack. Yep. I think either of these are one-shots to good old... Okay, I'm going to bite you. Confusion you. Zubat is actually the bigger threat because Zubat likely has something like Confuse Ray, so on and so forth, or Supersonic. Definitely don't want anything to do with that. I think just supersonic at this point. Level 28 Espeon. Almost catching up with Umbreon. Bite didn't do that much, but it does have the chance to flinch. It did not, though. Yawn is an interesting move. So, the best way to deal with this, I'm going to taunt, and then I'm actually going to take out a different Pokemon in Quillava. So another thing I didn't mention is that the held items of your Pokemon that you receive in, like, the original Shadow Pokemon, this is very interesting. I'm not going to have very many held items in this playthrough because I will be refraining from catching the majority of the regular Shadow Pokemon, but Quillava has... Okay, I'm going to bite you, and then I'm also going to Shadow Rush you. Quillava has the dubious honor of having Charcoal, and all three of the original starters that you can get, the Johto starters, have their particular type-based boosting held item. I believe they boost the moves by 20%, so Charcoal boost fire-type moves by 20%. So the interesting thing about Hyper Mode, I did want to talk about this when it appeared, and it already has appeared. Hyper Mode is pretty cool. So if you use any move other than Shadow Rush, your Pokemon has a bunch of different potential to basically disobey and do other things. Basically leave the battle, attack you, attack the other opponent's trainer. It doesn't really do damage to you, obviously. Or, like, use a move against your own Pokemon, or just loaf around, or do nothing, so on and so forth. But there is a huge upside, even though there's a bunch of downsides. That is that your critical rate changes to 90%. 9 out of 10. 90% as long as you're using Shadow Rush. So you basically have a guaranteed critical hit. And if you have a critical buffing item on you, it is a guaranteed critical hit. And because Shadow Rush is a 90 base power typeless move that damages everything for neutral damage, it's actually an incredibly cool combo. So that's what I'm going to do. I won't take Quillava out of Hyper Mode until I need Quillava to be able to... Alright. Use items on them or use other moves, because you can't really use other moves, and you also can't use items in battle or outside of battle on a Hyper Moded Pokemon.
You got all serious.
Yes, I did. I take battling very seriously.
What kind of a man battles a frail girl like me without easing up? You're not going to win the hearts of girls that way.
Well, I mean, you challenged me.
Gamerman, it was here in this square that I saw that strange Pokemon. I tried to leave town afterwards, and that's when those creeps grabbed me. We should be careful. Even at the best of times, there's nothing normal about this town.
Yeah, so there are 5 trainers here, technically 6, because the other one's right here. I'm going to be battling all of them. So I don't think, yeah, this girl doesn't have a catchable Shadow Pokemon normally. However, the rest of these folks do. So I'm going to be talking about those individual Pokemon as well. This is Duel Square, where even crying kids know they'd better shut up. This is where roughnecks gather. So how about it? Would you like to battle with me? Sure. Excellent. I like a man who can come to a quick decision. Let's have it out. Ryder Nova would like to battle. Yeah, being decisive is admirable. So he has Noctowl and Lediva. Noctowl is the Pokemon that you can catch from him. I don't really care for this. Noctowl is, in my humble opinion, one of the worst early game flying Pokemon. I mean, he's got terrible offenses. And really the only thing that he has to him is that he uses a bunch of psychic moves and hypnosis and has good special defense. Other than that, it's like, what is the point? The actual point of this Pokemon? And realistically speaking, the point is nil, because there is none. Doesn't get a good flying stab, doesn't get a good normal stab, so on and so forth. It's just kind of a shame that this Pokemon is even really a thing, especially for your team. your potential team, I should say. I think, even though he used Reflect, I might use Secret Power to potentially paralyze here. And Lediba is not at all a threat. A physical attacking bug that has like a 25 base attack. Yeah. Talk about stupidity. So, I will say Noctowl does have some use in the sense that Noctowl has some support moves like Reflect and Hypnosis, and that's cool and all, but there are legitimately better... Oh, I forgot. Secret Power can confuse. I think you have to be in a building. That's what it is. If you're outside, it confuses. In a building, it paralyzes. He has some, like, little tiny niche that he can do, especially with Hypnosis, but there are better Pokemon that can sleep other Pokemon. And realistically, also... Oh, wait. You know what I'm just thinking of? I think maybe it was... I don't know. I just don't know. Either way, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Noctowl is beaten in his niche by a lot of Pokemon, unfortunately. And that's sad. It's just really sad. Also, I don't know why I used Confusion here. Oh, it still did a pretty hefty chunk of damage. I think Return would have did more damage because that's one thing about that Pokemon that is absolutely the case. Ledion has an insane amount of special defense. That's pretty much all he has. Wingull. Yeah, not really a threat either. Bite. And Comet Punch, but your attack missed. So, actually, I'm going to just use Bite and Confusion, and that will be the end of this battle. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. I'm just not a big fan of Noctowl because it's purely supposed to be like a defensive, supportive Pokemon, and those can be good, but normal flying is not the type that benefits most from that at all. Like, at all. And especially with his very limited stats and very limited ability to contribute anything other than a few support moves to the team, you know, it's just not great. You're saying I lost? Yes, you did lose. You lost very well. Right then. I like your style. Here's a useful tip. If a Pokemon goes into Hyper Mode, its attacks become more likely to be critical hits. What a surprise, hey?
Why do the trainers here have those strange Pokemon? I'm sure of it now. The town's hiding a big secret. Do you feel like sticking around for a demonstration of my Pokemon's moves?
Sure.
Good. I like your attitude. Feast your eyes on these.
Street performer Diogo would like to battle. Flaffy and Shroomish. Flaffy is the Pokemon that you can catch from her. I would say Flaffy is actually nowhere near as terrible of a Pokemon as you would immediately think, because even though Ampharos is not that great, legitimately, there is some great argument to be had about how good Thunder Wave is, especially for catching the Pokemon in this game. But, unfortunately, Flaffy, I have to take you out. Doing not so much damage here. That just happens to be because Flaffy's a few levels higher than my other Pokemon, or my Pokemon. And also, Umbreon is not exactly an attacker. See, Umbreon does the whole supportive moves thing better. He doesn't have a sleep move, of course, which does stink on his account, but he has a lot of other supportive moves and can get things like Toxic, and Bite is always good. Bite is a good Dark-type move. It's not fantastic or anything, but it is good. And he he has the defense and HP and the special defense to take advantage of the idea of being a wall who also supports your team. Plus, both Umbreon and Espeon have Synchronize, and that means that they share their status afflictions with the enemy. This doesn't work with everybody. I don't think like poison types can be poisoned even with something like Synchronize. Doesn't really matter, but that is something to keep in mind. I also don't think steel types can be poisoned with this, or ground types could be paralyzed. If a type is immune to that particular status affliction, that type cannot have that status affliction in this gen through Synchronize, though this is not the case later on.
You outperformed me.
Yes, I did.
You're surprisingly good. I think you deserve to know a little secret about a certain Pokemon move. The move Shadow Rush inflicts damage on any kind of Pokemon without being affected by their types. The amount of damage doesn't vary with the target Pokemon's type, so it's easy to use.
Yep, that's absolutely true. It is a very powerful move. And now I'm going to show you exactly how this works. I'm going to stay in one of the luxurious suites for 100 Pokédollars a night. And I got good rest. My Pokemon are healed up. And I accidentally pressed A. You want to press B when you're talking to Pokemon centers and stuff of that sort, because then you don't have that accident.
If you try talking to anyone in Duel Square, there's only one answer.
Ryder Liba would like to battle. Sunkern and Oddish. And I'm pretty sure neither of these are the original Pokemon that she gives you. Umbreon and Espeon. Alright, it is time to absolutely thrash these Pokemon. Bite on Sunkern, that weak little monster, and then Confusion on Oddish. Oddish is going to just instantly be wiped away because it's super effective, and that's just not great for it. Alright, Umbreon, Espeon, get some experience points, very nice. Dustox. Is it? What Pokemon is it that she has that you can catch from her normally? I don't think it's Oddish. It might be Sunkern? It's either Sunkern or Dustox. Honestly, neither one are good in my humble opinion. I think they're both kind of just not... They're just not great Pokemon. Dustox is basically a defensive wall, but is not a great type for that. And though, yes, it survived a super effective attack right there, you would think that that would mean there's some merit to that, but it's just not. Not a good Pokemon. Sunkern is a terrible Pokemon even after evolution, so there's that also. And Gust, huh? You didn't do much with that. Let's just throw it out there. And Dustox is defeated. Goodbye. Level 30. Trying to learn Confuse Ray. Yes, absolutely I will be learning Confuse Ray. So I'm going to get rid of Snatch. Steals and uses a target's move if it raises stats. This is basically Psych Up, but you use the move instead of just copying the stat changes. There is no time I could ever see this ever being useful unless you had like a Swords Dance Pokemon on your team and then you targeted your, because you can do this. This is absolutely something you can do in this game, is that because you're in double battles, you could have a Pokemon use something like Swords Dance or Dragon Dance or, I don't know, Calm Mind or whatever, and then use Snatch on your teammate to then basically do that with your Pokemon. So it's useful for that, I will say that, because somebody like Umbreon never gets a move like Calm Mind. That's actually interesting. I think all of the evolutions learn Calm Mind. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's better for the fact that you can just use it on any of those moves. But I don't plan on doing that. I'm going to throw that away, and then boom, boom, bam, poof, Forgot Snatch, and Confuse Ray is going to be learned. A very, very, very good move for somebody like Umbreon. And if it wasn't for the fact that I'm thinking about using a Pokemon potentially I could give Toxic to, I would like to give Toxic to Umbreon at some point.
Oh, boo, I had to lose?
Because he's just a good Pokemon for it. Confuse Ray and Toxic strats are pretty good. Plus, he does have Secret Power, so there is that as well. So you can choose your status afflictions.
Ooh, that was an incredible battle. I simply love strong guys. That's L-O-V-E. If you ever get the urge to battle with me again, I'll always be here for you, honey.
Huh? You want to battle me? Sure. Sure thing. Battling fans are always welcome. Bandana Guy Divil would like to battle. Quagsire and Psyduck. So he has Quagsire for you to catch. Probably the best water type. In fact, I don't even think it's a probably. I think he is the best water type you can catch in this game that isn't a legendary Pokemon. And that's literally just bar none. Such a strong and capable addition to your team because he can eventually learn, I think he knows Surf straight off rip, as well as he learns Earthquake eventually. Such a good combination, especially if you have a flying type or something immune to Earthquake. You can have both of them out on the field. He can spam Earthquake and Surf and just do that with impunity. Love him. Absolutely love him. Though, I'm not catching him. In fact, I'm not catching anything from Dual Square. And he's quite bulky. Quagsire has always been known for his general all-around bulk and the fact that the water ground type is such a good combination. I mean, it's one of the best combinations in Pokemon history, right? There's only a few that are as good or better. Like, for instance, Steel Dragon, Steel Flying. Those are a couple of examples that are better. Steel Fairy. Notice how they're all steel. And then, you know, there's, like, Ground Electric is pretty good. There's just some in Ground Flying. Those are really good. All right, Psyduck. Get smoked. I'm kind of hoping for a flinch. It did not flinch, though. A disable. Confusion is disabled. That's actually kind of very sad. Though I don't think I'm going to need it. A critical hit from Shadow Rush. I will have to heal after this battle, that's for sure. Umbreon Bite. Return. And Quagsire is down. Psyduck will also be down this turn, which is awesome. Notice how I'm not particularly switching out any of my Pokemon for my Shadow Pokemon, because I don't find it necessary to use them in battle. I would rather just level up Umbreon and Espeon so that they can be good linchpins for the time, because your Shadow Pokemon, though they are strong and Shadow moves are good, they're not capable of leveling up at this time. Wow, phew. So what that means is that focusing them can make them stronger for later game battles and help me out in other ways too. You're way tough. We've got to battle again. Yeah, I will be right back as I have to heal up. Alright, next on the list, Kaya. You're looking to battle me? Yes. That's too funny. Come at me as if your life depended on it. You must be a fan of Landorus and Thundurus. And Tornadus. Ryder Vant would like to battle with Misdreavus and Skitty. So, I have to throw it out there. I think Misdreavus is the most important and most valuable member of any team in Pokemon Colosseum Vanilla. Period. bar none. And this has to do with the fact that Misdreavus is a ghost type with Levitate, so she's immune to all ground type moves as well as all fighting and flying type moves, or fighting and normal type moves. And that's absolutely insanely cool. I think it's going to take both of my Pokemon to take out Misdreavus right now. Oh yeah, she's not going down to both of these either. Confuse Ray against Espeon, not great. Since Confusion in this generation is a 50-50 chance to just not attack and hurt yourself, I am just going to switch out for that. Growl, I think you could go to +6. Skitty, oh, Growl is minus attack for both. I was thinking Howl. Yeah, I was going to say, I think Skitty could go to +6 and it wouldn't matter. And Quilava is going to join the fray. Not because I need Quilava, but because of, well, I mean, the confusion is annoying. Very nice. That likely would have either KO'd or come very close to KOing Espeon. And a fainted Misdreavus. Alright, Zigzagoon. I think I'm going to one-shot him with a Hyper Mode critical hit Shadow Rush. Luckily, critical hits avoid this, so don't really care that you just use Growl. Alright, now I can finally start attacking Skitty. Shadow Rush, critical hit, and Zigzagoon is down. Perfect. Alright, Bite will do pretty significant damage. Hopefully I flinch. Ah, cute charm, cute charm. Skitty did flinch though. Cute charm makes it so that I am infatuated. So as long as this Pokemon stays on the field, Skitty that is, Umbreon has a 50-50 shot of just not attacking. And that stays for literally ever. At least until Skitty is fainted, that is. Or is switched out. Or Umbreon is switched out. It's like a more difficult to deal with version of Confusion that relies on a gender difference. Player defeated, Rider Vant. Yeah. Yeah, what you'll notice is that the characters in this game that do have Attract will always, or almost always have female Pokemon, so it's good to catch some females because your two starter Pokemon, which I said were two of the strongest starters you've ever had in the Pokemon franchise, happen to be male locked. Wow, that was easy for you. Losing like that snapped me out of my hyper state. Did you know, if a Pokemon goes into hyper mode, call his name, and his head will snap back into reality. That is absolutely true. Time to heal up again. Battle, so much fun. Pokemon battles for everyone. Battles bring me so much joy. Let's get started, little boy. It's funny, because he's a little boy. Roller Boy Lon would like to battle. Slugma and Azurill. So the shadow Pokemon that this guy normally has is the Slugma, and realistically, I think Slugma is one of the worst Pokemon possible that you could be using in a playthrough in Pokemon Colosseum, and it's not even because I just hate the Pokemon, it's because you're fighting double battles, and what is very common in double battles? Surf and Earthquake. What does he happen to be double weak to? Water and ground. So, well, at least after he evolves, he's double weak to water and ground, because he's only a fire type now, but he turns into a fire rock type. So, man, because he's so slow and doesn't really have any good utility other than a potentially decent ability, some reasonable defenses, you know. I mean, other than that, like, he's kind of a huge detriment. I believe I used him in my original Pokemon Colosseum team, but I can't remember exactly. It's been a very long time. Confusion. This might one-shot Azurill. No, I didn't think so. Azurill is actually kind of bulky. That's pretty much the staple of the Azurill line, is that it's just a bulky Pokemon. And especially once that Pokemon becomes a water fairy type in Gen 6, definitely much stronger. I actually kind of wish that the fairy type was not made a fairy type and was made the light type, because that's basically what it's supposed to be, is the light type. I wish that would have been the case, because the fairy is supposed to be like a, I want to say, a counterpart to the dark type. And I mean, it makes more sense for dark and light to be counterparts than dark and fairy. I kind of get it, though, from a localization standpoint, because it was most likely called the light type or good type in Japanese, whereas like the dark type is called the evil type in the Japanese. And then it was given, oh, it might be considered the angel type, because that's another thing. A lot of localizations, especially in the 90s and early 2000s, switched angel to fairy to like refrain from religious connotations. This happened in Yu-Gi-Oh! And other such outlets like that. I still don't like it, though. Light type would be just so much better for that. It would have to lose like the pink motif and so on and so forth, but I'm totally fine with that. I personally think, and granted this is a personal opinion, disclaimer on the internet, right? Pink is the ugliest color ever. Player defeated Rollerboy Lon. I hope you liked my show, but now it's time for me to go. Okay, everyone, we've all had our fun. Till next week, farewell. Yeah, so what's funny about that is it's time for me to go. I want to thank you for joining me. If you like my content, please upvote and follow, or like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below. And while you're at it, have a great and glorious day gaming.